Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaf's a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sank to grief. So dawn goes down to day, nothing gold can stay.
The great American poet Robert Frost had it right when he wrote, "Nothing gold can stay." Like nature, life, my friends, is transient. And what better place to celebrate that melancholy sentiment than here at the Wilmington and Brandywine Cemetery, one of our city's most peaceful and beautiful places.
Wilmington and Brandywine Cemetery is a classic example of the rural or romantic style cemetery. This style of cemetery came into vogue in the early to mid-18th century. Prior to this time, burials in cities such as Wilmington were confined to small church graveyards, such as the one found at Old Swedes Church on Wilmington's east side. As cities grew, graveyards became overcrowded, and urban dwellers nationwide became fearful of possible health risks then associated with graveyards. Fears no doubt spurred on by a nationwide cholera epidemic in 1832, as well as the threat of other infectious diseases. The rural cemetery movement in America began in Cambridge, Massachusetts with the Mount Auburn Cemetery, which was inspired by Paris's Père Lachaise Cemetery. The rural cemetery movement was a radical rethinking of what a burial ground should be. Planners envisioned large-scale settings with sweeping vistas and lush landscaping. In short, a place not just for the dead, but a pleasure ground for the living. In fact, rural cemeteries preceded public parks as a place to commune with nature.
The Wilmington and Brandywine Cemetery was planned and founded by Samuel Wollaston in 1843 on a portion of his farm, Windsor. Upon his death in 1875, Samuel Wollaston himself was buried here in the cemetery.
Don't be sad for Wollaston, he's in very good company. Wilmington and Brandywine Cemetery is a virtual who's who in Wilmington history. You don't even have to look far. Wollaston is buried right next to his son-in-law, Elwood Garrett, one of the first persons in America to use daguerreotype, an early photographic process. Elwood Garrett was also the eldest son of the great Thomas Garrett, Wilmington's famous abolitionist. Buried nearby is Josephine Tatnall Smith, the namesake of Brandywine Park's beloved Josephine Gardens. At the northern edge of the cemetery, just steps away from South Park Drive, you'll find the final resting place of Delaware's first governor, Dr. John McKinley. McKinley also helped establish the Delaware Medical Society. Nearby is Walter S. Carpenter, Jr., who as president of the DuPont Company participated in the Manhattan Project, which led to the development of the atom bomb. Just to the right of Carpenter is the grave of noted philanthropist Harry Fletcher Brown, a DuPont chemist who achieved great fame for his development of smokeless gunpowder. Casual observers don't have to try very hard to find other familiar names such as Tatnall, Gilpin, Grubb, and this one, Samuel H. Baynard, the land developer of the area known today as the Triangle neighborhood. Baynard Boulevard carries his name, as does Brandywine Park's Baynard Stadium. Perhaps one of the best reasons to visit Wilmington and Brandywine Cemetery is to enjoy the incredible variety of mortuary sculpture on display. Here you'll find craftsmanship and artistry rarely seen on contemporary grave markers. It's also interesting to note the various symbols on gravestones throughout the cemetery. Hands are commonly seen, whether pointing the way to heaven or gripping another hand, as in both a farewell to this world and a welcome into the afterlife. Many markers have drapery carved into them, symbolizing mourning. Wilmington and Brandywine is home to numerous angels, symbolizing faith and hope. Several stones are adorned with ivy, representing memory and fidelity. Celtic crosses can illustrate an Irish or Scottish heritage, as well as infinity, represented by the circle, which has no beginning or end. Broken columns signify death in the mist of life. Like the broken column, this unusual tree-shaped stone represents a life cut short. The cemetery is even home to a dog, which often signifies loyalty or a person worth loving. While walking around the cemetery, it's impossible to miss the large mausoleums housing the remains of some of Wilmington's wealthiest citizens. As an example, this impressive Greek Revival-style mausoleum is the final resting place of the Lobdell family. most notably the Wilmington industrialist George G. Lobdell of the Lobdell Car Wheel Company, once the world's largest manufacturer of railroad car wheels. The private mausoleums are not the only stately items adorning the Wilmington and Brandywine Cemetery. This is also home to some of the most impressive trees in the state. According to the Delaware Forest Service, 4 trees in the cemetery are believed to be the largest of their species in Delaware, including a flowering dogwood, a sassafras, a northern white cedar, and this stately sweet gum.
I hope you've enjoyed our late fall tour of the Wilmington and Brandywine Cemetery. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may, seize the day and pay your respects to this amazing Wilmington landmark. It's located right next door to Wilmington Hospital between Delaware Avenue and the Brandywine River. For Wilmington in the middle of it all, I'm Rich Newman.